She pulled out all the stops. Here is the intro of the episode.
Megyn, Duchess of Sussex, in her first ever podcast interview. It's happening!
It's not about the grandeur of a gesture. It's about I see you. I'm nurturing you and I see you so deeply, and I love being able to see your growth. Of all things, it's making me emotional.
I have full body chills right now.
For them to be able to look back and go, oh my gosh, she has loved us so much.
Why don't you like her?
Let me count the ways. There's nothing I like about her. She is a malignant narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim. My castle's too small.
Yeah.
The queen is mean to me. They won't let me call myself Her Royal Highness anymore, but I'm going to put it all over my stationery and on the gifts that I give to my friends, while she never stops whining. And at the same time, and I'm getting all worked up, I'm a founder. I'm over it. She's not important. She married for money. It's very clear. She bagged the elephant. She was thrilled she became a, quote, prince.
What do you get when Megyn Kelly and Bill Maher both roast Meghan Markle from opposite coasts? A royal meltdown with extra crocodile tears and not a single acting award in sight. That's right, Meghan's latest tearful moment on her new podcast. Just got scorched from 2 time zones at once. Meghan came in swinging, and Bill brought the flamethrower. Why is Hollywood suddenly breaking out in hives over Meghan's melodrama? Stick around. This takedown throws more shade than Buckingham. Palace on Eclipse Day.
I admire Harry for going to Afghanistan. Anybody who's had military service, I can only criticize so much because I haven't. And there's nothing that compares to military service. But they're ridiculous after that. They want it both ways. You know, you can't be, these people were so mean to us and poor us, and we don't want all this attention, and then let me write a book about how much we don't want it.
Meghan Markle, once the Duchess of Fairy Tales and candlelit royal dinners, decided to shed some feelings on her new podcast. Or at least pretend to. Somewhere between Oscar bait and a soap opera villain's origin story, Meghan released what might be the most questionable sniffle in podcast history. No actual tears, of course, not even a glimmer. Just that carefully timed dramatic pause you rehearse in the mirror when you're trying to win an imaginary argument with your shampoo bottle.
So contrast all of that with the way she talks about H and their relationship. Here is it. Is it 46 or 47, Lauren? You choose.
But his heart is
All right,
even
this
more
is
beautiful.
I love that your eyes are sparkling right now.
Oh.
Oh my God. Dan, I threw up in my mouth.
Yes. Yes.
Dan, when you do interviews on your show, do you do the Jamie Kern Lima reactions? Yes. Oh my God, there's something wrong with her. What? Wow, who communicates like that? She's the only thing saving Meghan Markle, because between the two, she's even weirder. But Meghan Markle, this is a tell. Okay, this is a tell. It's the same way on Valentine's Day. You see people post like, my rock, my life partner, the person who saved me. Guaranteed that guy is cheating on.
The internet, never one for subtlety, sniffed out the performance within minutes. Hashtags lit up like a scandal on fire. No need for forensic audio experts. Even amateur drama students were tweeting about that tearless cry. She'd get kicked out of community theater, one user joked. And then enter Megyn Kelly, stage right, in heels sharp enough to slice through pretense and a voice soaked in razor-edged sarcasm, ready to dismantle Meghan's monologue with the precision of a headline assassin.
Some credit, but not a lot. Because they want to be seen as this modern couple, way hipper than the other stuffy ones in the family. Okay, then go all the way and say it. Say, we're not just taking a step back from royalty, we're renouncing the whole outdated, racist, anachronistic lot of it. We're saying loud and proud, what is this? That some people are royal. You want to be modern and woke and all that? You want to get rid of politically incorrect words? How about Your Highness? What?
Megyn took one listen to Meghan's cry-a-thon and practically scheduled a televised intervention on the spot. Without so much as breaking a sweat, she dismantled the Duchess's dramatic display like it was a badly cut true crime documentary. No moody lighting, no sad piano cues, just a podcast mic and a full arsenal of skepticism. To Megyn, this wasn't grief. It was graphic design, a storyboarded emotion, a cinematic attempt at vulnerability that felt more scripted than sincere.
When she married Harry, the press was wonderful for her. The British people loved Harry, and they were delighted to see him so happy and in love, and she was playing the role of demure, supportive partner to a T. I mean, very well. It wasn't until she started to make her positions clear and continuously play the victim from the palace that people started to get a feel of who she really was. And then the public opinion turned. And so
Megyn Kelly broke down Meghan Markle's teary podcast moment like it was a frame-by-frame forensic analysis. Sniffle at 12:47, voice wobble at 12:53, pause for dramatic effect, cue soft piano, and wounded ego. It was less a cry for help and more a performance with bullet points. And Megyn? She wasn't buying a second of it. With the effortless precision of someone swatting a housefly using a gold-plated tennis racket, she called out the absurdity of it all. Why would someone who claims to hate the spotlight suddenly turn into a one-woman Broadway show in front of a production crew? Megyn didn't need literal receipts. Her decades of media know-how were proof enough. Real tears, she said. Don't care about sound quality or lighting. Real emotion isn't timed to music or edited like an awards show submission. What Megyn delivered wasn't heartbreak. It was high gloss, branded sorrow, emotional theater so overproduced you could spread it on toast. And just when it seemed like the roast was cooling off, enter Bill Maher. Uninvited, but right on time. He didn't collaborate with Megyn, didn't coordinate a takedown. He just did what Bill Maher does best, deploy sarcasm like a surgical strike. On a totally different show, on a totally different day, he glanced at Megyn's melodrama and delivered a verbal shrug that said everything. Oh, honey, no.
Strike me as creatures of that generation. You're just fragile. Just take a hint from the Queen, the recently departed.
Never complain, never explain, and rarely be heard speaking in public.
You're complaining about your hard life, and you're so privileged. It's just so weird.
It's ridiculous.
With the finesse of a stand-up comic and the exasperation of someone stuck behind a Prius doing 20 and a 60, Bill Maher took Meghan Markle's tearless cry and ran it over with pure, unapologetic sarcasm. He didn't just laugh at the performance, he built an entire comedy mansion on top of it. Gold-plated faucets, emotional insecurity as the foundation, and a moat filled with crocodile tears. Bill practically pioneered a new genre, cry satire. Normally, Maher reserves his snark for politicians, or people who think almond milk qualifies as dairy, but Megyn's melodrama was just too irresistible. He dove in like a dad who just discovered cringe TikToks, mocking everything from the suspicious sniffle to the dramatic voice wobble pulled straight from the bargain bin of method acting. The royal victim narrative? According to Bill, it had more holes than Swiss cheese at a firing range. Unlike Megyn Kelly's methodical takedown, Bill didn't dissect it. He obliterated it. Casually, effortlessly, and with just enough bite to sour your morning coffee. He pointed out the obvious. When an emotional breakdown arrives sandwiched between a brand launch and a new podcast drop, it doesn't feel raw. It feels rehearsed. And the average American, they can smell that from a mile away. Bill didn't need a monologue. One well-placed eye roll, and you could practically hear it echo into orbit.
Avoid the promo for this summer if you turned on your television, trying to get her back into people's minds so she can relaunch her career, maybe improve her likability factor. Well, it's not working. A new poll conducted by Newsweek shows that her popularity is down 8 points from June. She's underwater in her net approval rating. 33% of people reported their dislike for her. 31% said she was okay to them. I guess the rest don't have an opinion, but she's going in the wrong direction. Harry's liked by a few more, but they're still both disliked. And so you tell me whether it is possible at this point to rehabilitate.
Here's the poetic irony. Megyn Kelly and Bill Maher agree on almost nothing. One leans conservative, the other floats somewhere between disillusioned liberal and professional cynic. But in a rare moment of cosmic alignment, both took one look at Meghan Markle's tearless podcast performance and collectively said, "Ma'am, please." That's not politics. That's universal. You know the cringe is on another level when ideological opposites are metaphorically high-fiving over your emotional implosion. It's like cats and dogs putting aside centuries of beef because they both can't stand your off-key ukulele playlist. It just doesn't happen unless the cringe is truly planetary. While Megyn Kelly tore apart the technical facade, pointing out the lighting, the audio control, the suspiciously perfect emotional beats, Bill Maher asked the question everyone else was too polite to voice. Why are we still shocked when a Hollywood-trained duchess shows up with full theater kid energy for a podcast? Because, let's be real, it wasn't about the sniffle. It was about the strategy. Every emotional reveal, every vulnerable pause, every whisper soft confession seems to align suspiciously well with a new project, a new brand, or a fresh PR campaign. We've seen this movie before. There was the Oprah Tell-All, the Netflix docuseries, the magazine spreads with melancholic stares into fireplaces, and now the podcast sob story. Different medium, same message. Please feel bad for me. I was rich and sad, no depth, no accountability, just curated vibes and carefully managed sorrow rolled out like a product launch. Again,
is the most insecure person I have seen in the public eye in a long time. That is why everything had to be perfectly curated. Who the hell picks fucking berries in a white cashmere blouse and white pants? Literally no one on earth does that. And like this garden, which is like the most over the top, like we're all supposed to go, Maureen, to make our breakfast in the morning out to our gardens and pick our berries, our raspberries, our strawberries, our blueberries, our snozzberries, and cut our mint and then cut our flowers that are edible. But don't worry, she's a woman of the people. You can grow those just on your windowsill at home in New York, your edible flowers.
And don't forget your local beekeeper.
Yeah.
Your local beekeeper.
Oh, yeah, because she has a bee hive, which she goes to. That's how they open the whole series with her bees. And like, don't worry, if you don't have this, just go to your local beekeeper. Clearly, we're living in different.
Of course, the backlash came swiftly. Meghan Markle's loyal fans rushed to her defense, calling Megyn Kelly bitter and accusing Bill Maher of being smug, as if smugness isn't his default setting. But honestly, the damage was already done. The emotional Jenga tower had collapsed, and no amount of PR glue was going to hold it together. The internet wasn't buying what Meghan was selling, especially when two veteran media personalities who didn't collaborate or coordinate a thing instinctively knew the whole act felt off. No need for palace leaks, secret recordings, or elaborate conspiracy theories. Just two seasoned BS detectors sounding the same alarm. And let's face it, if your tearful moment comes with perfect lighting, cinematic background music, and emotional fade-outs timed like a movie trailer, chances are you're crying for the camera, not for catharsis. Meghan called out the manipulation, Bill mocked the melodrama. And without even trying, they formed an unintentional yet unstoppable Voltron of, oh please. What made it worse was the predictability. This isn't new behavior, it's a pattern, a rhythm. An emotional marketing strategy disguised as vulnerability. And audiences, they're not emotionally numb. They've just upgraded their BS detectors. Because at some point, no matter how well you script the sadness, someone's going to show up with a truth wrench and dismantle the entire performance.
I'm a little bit fascinated, right? The mother was born in America. The father was born in America. But Meghan is now telling us that she's 43% Nigerian?
This is the most ridiculous. This is the same woman who said, I never even considered my blackness until the British tabloids started to make a thing out of it. Never even. Now she's like, I am Nigeria. Fellow women, hear me roar. I mean, who is she kidding? She's as white as I am. And she's over there like leaning in. Now I'm the face of the black woman. Okay. How much time did she have for this when she was on Suits, when she was doing the Tig, when she was trying to land the ginger from the royal family to marry her?
This time, it wasn't a clash. It was a surgical strike. Megyn Kelly brought the analytical scalpel. Bill Maher showed up with the sarcasm shotgun. And Meghan Markle, she said nothing. No response. Because really, what could she say? It wasn't a debate. It wasn't a showdown. It was a roast with no invitation, no prep, and no way to spin it. Even some of her fans started whispering the uncomfortable questions out loud. Why do these emotional reveals always feel like PR tours? In disguise? Why is there always merch or a branded rollout conveniently waiting in the wings? And the million-dollar mystery? Why do the tears never actually fall? Not one smudge of mascara. Not a single glistening droplet. Just a dramatic sniffle and a perfectly timed voice wobble, as if vulnerability had been storyboarded in a production meeting. Megyn saw through the branding. Bill saw through the performance. And the audience, exhausted from emotional déjà vu, saw through the entire spectacle. Megyn didn't just get criticized, she got deconstructed, taken apart piece by piece with the kind of precision that doesn't need shouting, just clarity. And what happened next? Nothing. No tearful follow-up episode, no fiery rebuttal. Just the echo of two media veterans calling out the same hollow performance from opposite ends of the ideological spectrum. It wasn't personal. It was predictable. Because at some point, even the most loyal audience has to face the truth. If your emotional rawness comes with lighting, background music, and a press kit, maybe it's not as real as it's advertised. Maybe it's not vulnerability. Maybe it's just a pitch.
It's ridiculous that one human being, this is something liberals especially should believe, that you don't call another human being Your Highness. Are you kidding me?
Come on, Bill, try it.
No. And, although I do, personally, I like Charles. I always thought he was a smart guy. He had some really good issues. I thought they made fun of him. He gave him some ammunition for that, but no public person doesn't. But, why even have this? And I know there are reasons. Enjoy it, whatever.
Here's a tighter, sharper, and more elevated version of your piece while keeping the drama, humor, and tone intact. Megyn didn't rage. Bill didn't rant. They didn't need to. With the precision of a scalpel and the timing of seasoned pros, both simply and hilariously called Meghan Markle's latest tearful podcast what it was, a performance. And not even a compelling one. Just when you thought the Markle melodrama had reached its saturation point, enter the backlash. Like clockwork, Meghan's defenders mobilized, armed with hashtags, moral outrage, and Tumblr-length essays about institutional misogyny. According to them, Megyn Kelly must be harboring some secret vendetta, plotting revenge from a lair adorned with tiara-filled vision boards. And Bill Maher? Clearly he must hate women, because what other reason could a man possibly have to call out obvious emotional theater? But here's the twist. Amid all the noise, something interesting happened. A few brave voices, ones not clutching pitchforks or streaming think pieces, started asking real questions. At what point does sharing your story become monetizing your misery? Is trauma just the new influencer currency? Have tears become a marketing tool with royalty-free piano and Spotify exclusives on standby? Maybe, just maybe, people are tired. Tired of curated sorrow, tired of soft-focused struggle from candlelit villas in Kashmir, tired of a tearless cry being sold as catharsis, and, no, Megyn hasn't responded directly. She's chosen the high road, or more accurately, the scenic Instagram route through a mindfulness retreat somewhere in the Alps. Meanwhile, whispers from the Sussex camp hint at a rising concern. Perception fatigue. Translation? The public is burning out from watching the same story rerun in new lighting. Because here's the final twist of the knife. This wasn't about scandal. It wasn't even about politics. It was about something far more universal. Authenticity. We've entered the age of emotional bankruptcy, where every teardrop is scrutinized like it came with a script supervisor and a lighting rig. The raw feels staged. The sincerity feels branded. The timing? Always suspicious. When your vulnerability conveniently aligns with a product launch or PR push, people notice. And that's why this moment hits so hard. Two people, Megyn Kelly and Bill Maher, who can't even agree on breakfast. Preferences somehow ended up side-eyeing the same melodramatic act. No coordination, no collab. Just two cultural commentators, worlds apart, pressing pause on Meghan Markle's emotional monologue and saying the exact same thing. Come on! Because if your tears trigger eye rolls from both Megyn and Bill, maybe it's not a smear campaign. Maybe it's just tired. So what are we left with? A duchess, a podcast, a global sigh, and the subtle realization that season 4 of Megyn, Misery with a Mic, is probably already in post-production. So sit back, keep your tear detectors on, because the next time Meghan Markle drops a raw reveal, she might want to make sure the mascara runs before the patience does.